Welcome to Introduction to Philosophy of the Human Person, Lesson 4, or Topic 4, The Branches of Philosophy. And nandito na po tayo sa Epistemology. Okay? Epistemology. So, in this lesson, we will be talking about epistemology, its meaning etymologically, and the nature of knowledge. So, ang scope lang ng pag-aaralan natin ngayon is hindi pa natin maabutan yung how do we acquire knowledge, kundi sa lesson lang na to ay pag-aaralan lang natin yung pinaka-nature ng knowledge mismo. At of course, yung etymological meaning ng salitang epistemology. Okay, at the end of the lesson, wag na nating banggitin yan. So, question, guys, before we get started. Could you be wrong about everything you know? And so far, sa mga students na tinanong ko dito sa particular question na to, ang karamihan na sagot nila ay yes. Okay? However, ang sagot na yes is a certain answer that you cannot be wrong about. Okay? Kasi, uh, if you could be wrong about everything you know and you said yes, and I ask you, could you be wrong about that also? And still you say yes, then therefore you know nothing. That's the consequence of answering yes. Ibig sabihin, wala kang alam. If pwede kang magkamali sa lahat ng alam mo, and even that answer na oo, ay pwede kang magkamali, then therefore, wala ka talagang alam. Di ba? May famous statement nga si Socrates, one thing I know is that I know nothing. Kung i-examine natin yon, tanungin natin si Socrates, do you know that? Yes, I know that. Okay. May alam si Socrates. All right. So, as an introduction, epistemology is the key component to any theological or philosophical system. Okay? Key. Tandaan niyo po ito. Key. Fundamental ang epistemology, guys. Now, metaphysics, ethics, and political theory can only be established on epistemological basis. Yung theory of reality na tinatawag natin sa metaphysics can only be established on the basis of epistemology. Okay, without a standard, a ground basis for belief, one cannot know what a true theory of reality is, nor can he know how we must determine what is right and wrong, nor can he know what the proper political theory is. Ganun po kaimportante itong epistemology. It talks about knowledge. Okay, knowledge. Kasi lahat tayo guys, even na perceive natin itong reality na ito, like for example, nakikita ko ang sarili ko sa salamin. Yes, nakikita mo, you use your senses, but how do you know na nakikita mo? Okay, you use your eyes. How do you know that your eyes are working? Okay? So, yan ang trabaho ng epistemology, which make this subject very interesting. Epistemology is the philosophical study of the nature, origin, limits of human knowledge. The term is derived from two Greek words, episteme and logos, which means knowledge and reason. And according to the field, is sometimes referred to as the theory of knowledge. So kapag merong nagtatanong sa inyo na what is your epistemology? Ang ibig sabihin lang nun is what is your theory of knowledge? Or kapag tinanong ka, what is your epistemological basis? Ibig sabihin nun, what is your foundation for knowing things? What is your theory of knowledge about knowing things? So yun po yung epistemology. Epistemology is the study of knowledge and how we acquire knowledge. It is the study of the nature and scope of knowledge and justified belief. Ayan, narinig nyo na yung salitang justified belief. Dagdagan natin. Epistemology analyzes the nature of knowledge and how it relates to similar notions such as truth, belief, and justification. Very important po itong tatlong components na ito truth, belief, and justification sa lesson natin ngayong araw na ito. So, if you're going to ask an epistemological question, it goes like this. How do you know what you know? So, if you're asked, could you be wrong about everything you know? At sabihin mo, no, I cannot be wrong about everything I know. So the next question would be, give me at least one thing you know that you cannot be wrong about. So pwede ka magsabi ng 1 plus 1 equals 2. I cannot be wrong about that knowledge, of course. 'Di ba? Lahat tayo, even yung mga bata, cannot be wrong about that particular knowledge. And sadly enough, may mga students na pag tinanong mo that could you be wrong about 1 plus 1 equals 2, at sinasabi nilang yes, so okay lang sa'yo na 1 plus 1 equals 3, objectively or absolutely. At sasabihin nila na po, pwede, sir, siguro merong confusion, hindi ata naunawaan yung question mismo, or ang nakakalungkot doon, if they could be wrong about 1 plus 1 equals 2. Okay? If they could be wrong about it, then they do not know it. Kasi what if sabihin ko sa inyo guys na I know that I am human being but I can be wrong about it. O, 'di ba? So, no such thing. According to Plato, in order for one to have knowledge of something, three conditions have to be satisfied. This is known as the tripartite theory of knowledge. According to the tripartite theory of knowledge, knowledge is defined as justified through belief, or knowledge is when a true belief is justified. Therefore, if a person believes something to be true and then it ends up being true, therefore, being true through justification, then that person knows it. Ulitin ko. Therefore, if a person believes something to be true and then it ends up being true through justification, then that person knows it. So very important itong tripartite theory of knowledge. We have belief, truth, and justification. So sa belief, guys, a person can't know something to be true without first believing that it is true. 'Di ba? A person can't know something to be true without, again, can't know something to be true without first believing that it is true. Let's say, for example, I know, okay, I know that I am human being, I just don't believe it. I know that I am a human being, I just don't believe it. Well, that's an absurd statement. How can you know it if you don't believe that it's true? 'Di ba? And truth, very important component. If a person knows something, then it must be true. If a belief is false, then it cannot be true and therefore it cannot be known. Again, let's say for example, I know that I am human. I know that I'm a human being. I just don't think that it is true. Again, another absurd statement. How can you know it if it is not true? Okay, another thing, justification. So justification, guys, quite different. It is not enough to simply believe something to be true. There must be a justification through sufficient evidence. May karagdagan pa ito, sufficient evidence and sufficient reason. Okay, meron ba tayong reason to believe that that is indeed true? So let's say, for example, the correspondence theory of truth. And I will say, for example, that yeah, if you can see the video, a little the little camera at the right, no, left top, okay, top left. The ball is on my palm, okay. So first there's a yellow ball. The yellow ball is on my palm. First there's a yellow ball and there is a palm. So it corresponds with reality. So merong ebidensya na hindi ako nagsisinungaling when I say the yellow ball is on my palm, nasa palm ko talaga siya. So a belief is justified according to the correspondence theory of truth if and only if it corresponds with reality. Okay? So ganito po siya ang tripartite theory of knowledge. Knowledge, tapos justified through belief. Okay, let's flesh out what a belief is from the Greek word piste. Okay? Piste, which means faith, loyalty, trust, and conviction. Marami ang nag equivocate. Pag sinabing equivocate, ito ay isa sa fallacy na kung saan yung kausap mo ay tinitwist or binabago ang definition ng isang terminology. Yung faith and belief, loyalty, trust are simply synonymous. So for example, I am sitting this chair. Ang chair na ito ay plastic. So I don't have enough faith to sit on this chair kung isa lang siya kasi masyadong marupok. So, kailangan doblehin ko siya para kayanin niya yung weight ko. So, even if tinitake for granted ko ang isang bagay na nakaupo ako sa isang chair na marupok, dahil doble ito, I simply have faith na kaya akong buhatin or hindi ito magka-crack. Kaya ng chair na ito yung weight ko. So just ganun lang kasimple ang definition ng belief. It's a terminology also used in faith, loyalty, trust, and conviction, or even yung salitang confidence. Confidence. According to Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, belief is the attitude we have whenever we take something to be the case or regard it as the truth. And we can go back to our first lesson that presupposition and belief are quite interchangeable. That a presupposition is also defined as a belief or a proposition that is held to be true even before any argumentation, discussion, uh, conversation happens. So we're done with what is a belief, what is truth. So, in our previous lesson, we already defined truth according to the three natures, namely correspondence, coherence, and pragmatic. However, we have discovered that there are problems with these theories. Una, sa correspondence theory of truth about negative facts. Pangalawa, coherence theory of truth using this theory can be based on falsehood, di ba? Problema siya. And the pragmatic theory of truth, regardless if something is true or not, for as long as it works for you, then you are free to believe it. Then you are free to call it truth. Yan naman ang problema ng pragmatic theory of truth. Now, if we try to answer epistemologically, how do we know what's true by appealing to these theories of truth? Let's say, for example, how do you know what's true? At sasagutin ko, if it conforms to reality, if it corresponds to reality. Well, the next question would be, how do you know what's real? How do you know what's objectively real? Okay? Now, sa tao na merong kakaibang perception sa reality, pwede siya mag-appeal sa coherence theory of truth if it coheres with my system of belief. The thing is, how do you know if his worldview or belief system is true to begin with? Because again, ang problem ng coherence theory of truth, it can be based on falsehood. Diba? For as long as it coheres with the system of beliefs, then we have no problem according to the coherence theory of truth. How about pragmatic? How do I know? How do I know what's true? Well, I know what's true if it works. Whatever works is true. So, question is, how do you know what works? How do you know what works? Or do you simply just assume that it already worked? Or who decides whether the consequences works or the consequences are useful or not useful or the consequences are right and wrong? And the example ko nga sa pragmatic theory of truth is kung ikaw magnanakaw, who gets to decide whether ang pagnanakaw ay mali? Kung ikaw magnanakaw, you decide, kaya mo nga siya ginawa, na ito ang nakabubuti para sa akin to survive. At sa nanakawan, magde-decide siya na hindi ko gagawin to sa iba dahil kawawa naman yung mga nanakawan. Okay? So pragmatically speaking, it works for the both of them. And that's problematic. So what is truth in the area of epistemology? Truth then is considered to be a condition or the precondition of knowledge. If there is no universal, objective, absolute truth, there can be no knowledge at all. Tandaan po natin guys, ulitin ko, if there is no universal, objective truth, there can be no knowledge at all. Therefore, if truth did not exist, then neither would knowledge. And we are all familiar with, or para sa mga hindi familiar dito, merong mga tao na naniniwala that truth is relative. So ang opposite ng objective truth or absolute truth is of course subjective truth. Now when we believe in relativism, okay, we already believe that truth is something subjective. It is a denial of objective truth. There is no universal objective truth according to relativism. Rather, each point of view has its own truth. Now guys, hindi natin pwedeng ituring ang truth sa isang mere preferences like uh, what is your favorite ice cream flavor? It could be vanilla, mine is chocolate. Kahit 24 hours po tayong mag-away at mag-discuss about which one is more delicious than the other, ay wala po tayong makukuhang truth doon. Why? Because again, based lang siya sa preferences ng tao. Okay? And hindi natin pwedeng ituring ang truth based on preferences. Why? Because if we do that, sabi ni Richard Dawkins, the universe that we observe has precisely the properties we should expect if there is. Okay, listen carefully. At bottom, no design, no purpose, no evil, no good, nothing but blind, pitiless indifference. Nothing but pitiless indifference. Yan na ang problema when you hold to the relativism view of truth. Another example, what if dalawa tayong magkausap and tatanungin kita, is murder objectively wrong? At sasabihin mo sa akin na not all murder are not all the, not hindi lahat ng murder ay mali. Okay, not all murders are wrong or acts of murder are wrong. Hindi lahat. Okay, hanggang sa napahaba yung discussion natin at medyo naasar ako sa'yo. So kinuha ko yung ice pick ko sa bag at sinaksak ko sa leeg mo. Okay, so medyo na-convince ako ng konti. I decided to stab you at the neck. At nag-complain ka. Why did you do that? Okay, why did you do that? Well, murder is not absolutely wrong according to you. I just stepped inside your worldview. And that's a very, very big problem. Okay? So, ganun lamang mag-expose ng foolishness ng relativism theory or the idea of having truth as relative. Okay? And if someone might say that truth is relative and there is no objective truth, you might ask them, Sir, is that statement relative or objectively true? Okay? And I hope na makita ng kausap nyo na yan ay foolishness. Since I am by the grace of God a Christian, I am very passionate about this. In John 14:6, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Jesus is the truth. Truth is in the person of Jesus Christ. How do I know that Jesus is the truth? Simply because he revealed it in his word. Very simple. He revealed it in his word. How do I know that it is his word? Because if it's not, then even yung epistemology, guys, even knowing is impossible according to Proverbs 1:7. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Colossians 2:3. In Christ are hidden all the treasures of wisdom and knowledge. Without Christ, knowledge is impossible. If Jesus Christ is false, then knowledge is impossible. The thing is, you and I know things. 'Di ba? You and I know things for certain that we cannot be wrong about. At least some things that we cannot be wrong about. Now, why is that the case? because we are living and standing on the Christian ground or the Christian presupposition or the Christian worldview. Lahat ng tao, whether they deny Christianity or not, they are standing on Christian presupposition. Now, why am I very passionate about this? Because there are universities that actually teach that Jesus is not the truth. That truth is relative. That you can decide what truth works for you or not. At yan ang kailangan natin sa bansa natin. Objective truth. Without which, even yung even yung morality natin ay apektado. Okay? So how do I know all these things? Because God makes me know all these things such that I can know them for certain. If God exists and can do all things and can give me certain knowledge to know Him, do you think that's impossible for Him? Of course, that's possible for Him. So I know these things because God make me know or makes me know. So let's proceed with justification. And I think nakapag-flesh out na tayo dito kanina, in order for there to be knowledge, there must be justification of these true beliefs. This means that in order to acquire knowledge, a true belief must have sound reasoning and solid evidence to support its claim. Now, the thing is about reasoning and evidence is in regard to evidence, kasi, for example, Christian can provide evidence with the universe, okay? And atheists can also provide an evidence that the Big Bang happened because there is a universe. However, guys, if you're going to ask the origin of the universe, you're not asking about science question or scientific question. You're asking about history question. Now, that can only be answered if you have a history book. For Christians, we have a history book. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now, for atheists, nangyari yung Big Bang, billions and billions of years. Now, the question is, what caused the Big Bang? What caused the Big Bang? And sometimes, maririnig mo silang sumagot na, I don't actually know. And the question is, if you don't know it, then how do you know na Big Bang yun? 'Di ba? So makikita natin guys in two sides of the coin na the Christian, they can justify, okay? They can justify about what they believe to be true. Uh, all evidences points to God, kaya nagagawa nila ito. For atheists, ang maririnig mo lang sa kanila na final answer nila rito, what caused the Big Bang, um, and they can be wrong about this also, and it ends up na hindi talaga nila alam at hindi nila matukoy. And again, if they cannot know, then how can they know that it's not the Christian God? Or how can they know if it is the Big Bang? Or if it was the Big Bang? 'Di ba? So, malaki ang problema ng mga taong ito. But then again, many universities teach this. And as a philosophy teacher, as a Christian philosophy teacher, I must stand with the truth. And of course, teach the student the right thing. Now, is evidence the issue? Is evidence the issue? How can two highly educated people view evidences differently? Is evidence the issue? No. Hindi po issue ang evidence. Ang evidence ay nandyan na yan eh. Okay? Hindi evidence ang issue. Rather, it is the belief we take to the evidence. I use my Christian presupposition to evaluate the evidence. Atheists use their atheistic presupposition, materialistic presupposition, to evaluate evidence. We interpret evidence according to what we already believe to be true. Therefore, it is not an issue of evidence, rather a worldview issue. So this will bring us back to our lesson one, that a worldview is a network of presuppositions. Okay? Network of presupposition. Maraming presupposition ang tao at ipagsamahin mo lahat ng presupposition na yun, ang tawag sa kanya is world view. So, ang problema guys, when we look at the reality that we have now, ang problema ay hindi sa pamamagitan ng evidence, ang problema ay sa pamamagitan. Ang problema ay hindi dahil sa evidence, ang problema ay dahil sa worldview na hinahawakan ng tao. Okay? So that ends our lesson. Thank you so much guys for tuning in. And if you haven't, please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future content. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. Para sa mga students ko, fini-flesh out ko po ito sa kanilang maigi. At para sa mga viewers naman natin na nakikinig dito, you can ask question at the comment section or pwede niyo po akong i-message directly sa aking Facebook page, The Christian Worldview Project. Thank you and have a great day.